It's really hard to measure emotional distance.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So it feels, wow, I can't even imagine myself getting there emotionally in terms of my vulnerability.
Right.
You know, but that's just because we've never been there.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to see past fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, but when you start practicing it, you know, you develop trust, you get that vulnerability muscle going, and the more you share, the more you're opening up, the more you're feeling that camaraderie with other people, etc. And then next thing you know, it's like, wow, I've gotten farther than I thought by just continually exercising that muscle of vulnerability. It's not a mental process, which is why it's so hard to measure. It's an emotional process, you know?
It's, yeah. Oh.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So something started coming undone for me, vulnerability-wise. I had the opportunity to work on a fear about losing my wife, and it's such an unconscious fear that it rarely comes up. Right? It has to be a very unique situation to even have that come up. And then when it did, and I got a little taste of it, it's like, whoa, there's some real instability emotionally happening. So, of course, I spoke with someone about that. I spoke with a wise person about that. And I was going to not do it because I believed that I wouldn't make any progress on it, because I never had before, and it's always been this brick wall. So I'm just going to hunker down and do, distract myself or whatever.
Okay.
But instead, I chose to connect with somebody who knew what they were doing, like a wise person. And then 30 minutes later, I had, just from the things that she said and the things that I said, and just telling the truth about that fear, I broke through it. I mean, I wouldn't say I completely eliminated it by any means, but I went further into it than I ever had before. And when I was done with that call, I was like, wow, I did not ever expect to even touch this fear. But lo and behold, an opportunity to unravel it surfaced. And because I had practiced all these healthy things in the past in terms of connecting, telling my truth, all those tools were already built into me, so that when this came up, when something hard came up, I knew what to do. I chose to do it. It wasn't that hard to decide to do it with the hard stuff, because I had been practicing it so long with the easier stuff. And then by the time I was done, I was like, holy mackerel, I have major realizations about what's really going on inside me when that fear is happening, and what it really means about me. And it was just a belief about, it boiled down to a belief about not feeling good enough or feeling inadequate.
You were like in my head.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you about my intimate experience, and it's really the same path. It's really the same path. Yeah.
Okay.
The more you practice, the more you're consistently becoming more effective at working on it.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So what feels impossible for you to deal with emotionally now, or what felt impossible for me to deal with emotionally a while ago, I've come that far and farther from being consistent and doing this kind of work on myself, and it's only been a couple years.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not talking decades or anything,
Yeah.
but it feels like it might be that long.
Yeah.
Because we've always known those limitations of fear that we feel to be so insurmountable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? But there is a way through. And you do it one step at a time.
Yeah.
You can't plan it out. I mean, I can tell you, here are the tools and here's what you do. But you can't map it out mentally, because it's not a mental process. It's an emotional one. Right? So you just take this step, and then you take this step, and then you take this step, and then when it comes up, you take that step. And you just keep, remember the river and the stone? You just keep, you become the river, so that the stone just rounds out over time.
Yeah.
And then it's no longer in a path of resistance.
Right.
It's smoothed out, and that stream is just getting right around it, and it's no longer a blockage for you emotionally.
Right.